Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid. Roles can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play out as karmic themes, how we understand why everything's playing out the way that it is within your connection and in your life, really. Everything that happens to us, every experience we wind up living, is a reflection of what's happening internally. So you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So does that mean that you deserve abuse? No. It does not. It doesn't mean that you need to be with somebody that treats you less than what you deserve. No, it doesn't. Spiritually, when the universe brings somebody something, it's always to heal. It's always to heal. See, we all have spiritual blockages, and it's from the environments that we grew up in. And it shaped our perception about who we are, not just who we are, but you know, what life is. And when I say what life is, all aspects of life are affected. So relationships are definitely affected, your finances are affected, and it makes it really difficult to forgive because one that continues to relive the same undesirable life experiences over and over and over again eventually believe that they really can have the life and the life experiences that they want to have. So, this is why it's so important to heal because anytime we stay stuck in a perception that keeps us limited because other people are creating that dynamic, that perception, well, understand we have to then really rely on our spiritual sovereignty. We really have to rely on the higher self, the God part of self, in order to change the dynamic of the situation. And the reason why is because when we rely on the higher self, the God part of self, we're always going to be led. We're always going to be called to do something, to change. And that change might be something that you would normally not do for yourself. But I can guarantee it's one that will change your mind and your heart about what you're perceiving, what your situation. That's why it's really so important to understand things from the spiritual perspective. Because if you understand why things are happening and playing out in your life, you can again shape shift your reality. There's many different realities that play out at one time. No one chooses to live in a perception that makes them feel small, that makes them feel limited, that makes them feel forgotten about, that makes them feel like they can't have. But the more and more that people become spiritually sick, the more and more that the world is able to tell you who you are. And that means people that are traumatized can come into your life and they can put their trauma onto you, and then you're living from their perception of their belief because your habits and behaviorisms are built on what has happened in your environment, how you needed to survive. And survival isn't just about emotion, it's not just about physical. I mean, we talk about, oh, well, did you have a house to live in? Did you have a bed to sleep in? Did you have, those are basic necessities. It's like, and if we're only expecting the bare minimum because our parents were too angry or too traumatized to actually fix what they needed to fix within inside of themselves, then it's our job to do so. And so when they said the age of Aquarius, it's the beginning. It's the beginning. It's the grand awakening. The age of Aquarius is really that. It's an awakening time. The Mayans said 2012, I believe, they said it was the end of the world. It wasn't the end of the world. It was really the beginning of the end of a consciousness, that we could no longer live from a limited perception of who we are. Otherwise, we would die off as a species. And how that would happen is through the effects of trauma. We would have addictions. We would try to change ourselves. We would try to look for the answers outside of ourselves, which took us further away from who we really are. So, when we're talking about this spiritual war and we're talking about spiritual warfare, we're talking about that we're fighting for our spiritual sovereignty. Because if you can imagine it, you can create it. The law of attraction tells us that. We are extensions of God. We are extensions of the universe because we're made up of the same energy. The perception is that we're separate. And when you continue to live experiences that make you perceive that you're separate, you get angry, you get rageful, and understand a lot of people then try to change themselves or do outside things to even uplift their mood. This is the birth of where the birth of addiction comes from. The lack, the pain, the suffering of stuck in this fragmented part of yourself that is either shame, victimization because of the betrayal, where family is supposed to be the roots. And what we see is a deterioration of family. We're seeing that more and more due to trauma, due to, fragmented relationships. So this is the spiritual war. It happens from the inside out. It's like a cancer. It's like that's why cancer eventually manifests from spiritual blockages. So again, we have to be smart. I've been using breaking out my homemade deck that I made out of index cards when I couldn't afford tarot cards. Yes, I made my own cards, my own oracle cards, and I haven't used them in a really long time. But sometimes we feel the need to go back to our own roots, right? There's a comfort in it. There's a grounding energy. All right, so let's see what the underlining energy is. I never know why I start my readings off the way that I do. I just tend to like to ramble and see whatever spirit wants to talk about. I want to meet up with you. So the underlining energy is that you've been in separation from someone for a while and they again have not been able to stop thinking about you. So now they're like, I want to see you because I feel like this person doesn't really know whether or not you'd even be open to seeing them. My love for you scares me to the point that I'm frozen. So what happened in the past? Well, there was a really strong spiritual connection that you guys had. And this person that like is more logical, they're more analytical. They what I see is what I know is what I believe. So you didn't look at so great on paper. So, and I feel like because you're that like kind of like march to your own drum type of person, meaning like you're not gonna like conventional way, you make your own way. So you're an independent thinker, and that courage and that that uniqueness and the fact that you're not afraid what other people think was attractive was something that I feel like this person desires to be with inside of themselves. However, it didn't make sense. It's like, again, because this person doesn't have confidence in themselves. So here it is that you're doing that and you believed in what you were doing. And, it takes time to create, so sometimes people don't see your vision. They don't see how things are going to work out. And that could be like, you know, even just the way that you were living. Maybe you were even taking care of other kids or just something that this person, like, again, thought, mm, that's not going to work out. And what are other people going to think? Like this person cares too much about what other people think. And I only bring these things to the attention because your attention so that you can see it right away. We see like the person's not strong within themselves. So instead of them embracing that connection, that's again like their love for you is deep, to the point that it makes them have to look at themselves. It freezes because this person hasn't done healing. And that's how a person becomes very analytical, very logical. See, the child self is not analytical, it's psychic, it's the playful mind, it's the creative mind, it's the intuitive mind because children don't do what they really think, they do what they feel, and we all have that child self inside of ourselves. Scared the hell out of me. I think of you at night fell out. I have been my head about you. These are the ones that just fell out, and I let spirit pick those, because if they fell out, there's no mistakes. We perceive things as mistakes because we're like, damn, they should have worked out different. No, in your head, it should have worked out different, God says. Everything is happening according to how I want it to work out. That's based on karma so that you learn. So again, this person did things the wrong way. They're not grounded. They're thinking about, again, why didn't I see who you were and your worth before? Again, why did I see things from that perception? Well, their healing is involved in that. See, this is how God grows the soul. It brings us the people, the situations, and the experiences that do so. Sometimes we don't like that energy. I know I don't like that energy. I'm told on an everyday basis down here how people don't believe in what I do. So you can only imagine how hurtful that is for me because my job is everything. But again, people get stuck in the perception of their limitation based on what they know, what they feel comfortable with. But that's not the soul. That's taught. That's conditioned. People might say, no, well, I got the education. Well, it's again, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. The God part of self allows us to be able to create our own heaven on earth with the things that it gave us to work with. So if some of us were limited in what we needed to use, well, again, this is how this person got to their where they needed to be. It was not the conventional way. So maybe you didn't go to college. Maybe you again did things opposite. You had kids young. You went off and you traveled the world. You did something that was different, that again was judged. And it was judged which to make you feel a certain way. And now this person feels guilty about it because, what it was the whole time was that their love for you was so deep that they couldn't deal with it. Would you still want me after all of this? I will see you sooner than you think. So I think that this person is like planning on maybe not even reaching out, but almost like bumping into you because they want to see you, but they feel guilty. They can't stop thinking about you. And there's a part of them that's like, I want to know whether or not you have feelings for me. I want to know after everything that how I treated you and again and didn't like you for whatever that you presented yourself as. And I don't know, again, for everybody it's collective, but I can relate. I'm just saying. And so everybody can relate. But when that trauma of abandonment, of isolation, of you're different, so because you're different I'm not going to include you because you don't, you know and it could be anything like your desire to have children at a young age, your desire to go back to school when you had children, or to not stay in a marriage, or to whatever it was used against you. And so, this person now sees that you are the best thing in their life. Because what's greater than someone that comes into someone's life and shows them how to be true to themselves, how to not be afraid and not give a shit about what other people think, because other people are going to put limitations onto you because of their judgment. So we have a choice. You could either use your passion for what you believe in and fight and stand in your truth, or you could cower down. But sometimes we're called to fight, and sometimes we're called to change, and sometimes we're called to surrender. And really, this person is like they're surrendering their ego. That's what they're doing. And that's how you know a person's true, because they have to come back and they have to. This person doesn't feel comfortable, however, to pick up the phone or to do things in the appropriate way. So and I have to say, because again, this is a healing channel, they're not coming back on the same vibration. This person knows that it's time for them to heal now because they just can't stop thinking about you. We got that one already. They're just drowning in their thoughts. Okay, like tell us something else. This person is like over and over and over again, like obsessive, on the verge of obsessive over you. So we went from this person not like treating you well because of a perception, not even because of like a fight. So I feel like they just always treated you different. You inspire me in so many ways. That's what I was saying. Again, that you're like just true to yourself. And because you're true to yourself, that's inspiring to this person because it shows your strength. And really, what is that energy of spirit when we again are in our passion and we're fighting for what we believe in, and we show up every day, we persevere, we show resilience. It's all the energies of God, really, to incorporate the energies of God. To be the highest state of consciousness does not mean that we have to obey or mold to the person's environment or become. And that's something that I feel like you're different in that way, where people tend to bend. And understand, bending isn't all the time caving in and going with the other. It's just being silent. I'm not going to take a side. It's safe. It's safe for me not to take a side. So it's very diplomatic. So I only have to do things that are like going to be seen in a certain way, so that that's not how you live. That's scary for people. So again, because it's not the social norm. But the more that we live in fear, the more that we mold to, again, what other people and other people's perceptions, the lack of individuality that we actually have. And our strength resides in our unique individuality, but being able to connect through love, through acceptance, through compassion, through all the higher states of consciousness. See, what kills me, and this is a side note, like for a lot of people that claim to be very religious, they're not religious at all. It's like they do things by the Bible, but the Bible was written by a man. It's not like God itself wrote it. It didn't. It's been manipulated. It's been, it's been shaded to make us perceive certain things that I don't really believe are true. Like Mary Magdalene wasn't a disciple. She was just a prostitute, just a lady by the well. We can't make her on the same level as the regular disciples. That's just one. And I can go on, but I'm not going to. And we see flaws within every single dogmatic practice because man and ego got in the way. And the ego is really, I don't want to say that it's the devil, but what it is it's all about me. And what's good for me all the time is not what's going to be best for you. But if I only care about me, well, then, over time, then the perception is there's not enough to go around. That greed never gets satisfied. It's like you become an open well where, the lines get very blurred. It's like, oh, well, it's okay that these people are able to buy other people. You know, it's okay that a man's able to put chemicals over our food so that it preserves our food, but it'll cause cancer. Like again, it's a penny wise, $1 million foolish. So it's doing things the opposite way. We've come to a place within our life. It's the age of Aquarius. We gotta step it up. We got to step into our true self, our higher self, because we're being attacked. And we're being attacked from the inside out because it's a spiritual disease. And spiritual war creates spiritual disease, and spiritual warfare is that. But it's one where you're actually like hating yourself, turning on yourself, detaching and dissociating from self. And that's a problem because spirit lives inside of you. And that is what gives us spiritual sovereignty. That's what gives us our power, gives us our creative edge, twin flame journey. That's what this person thinks. They're like, they are so obsessed with you that it's again that it's like they're changing their entire life, this person in this story. It's like shouldn't even pull any more cards because it's like this person is like, I'm so sorry, I'm so in love, I can't stop thinking about you. They're so obsessed. I didn't mean what I said. It's like, so again, just more like, I'm sorry. I wish you knew how grateful I am that I've met you. Please don't move on. I'm afraid of losing you. So again, like we see where they are. We want to see what they're doing because at this point, like, they're not on your vibration. They become obsessed. And they kind of became obsessed because it's again they went from one extreme to another, really, but they're not confident enough to come back and apologize, is what I'm telling you. They're going to try and bump into you. Like, because it's like, I don't know whether you want to hear from me or not. I don't know. But I know that you're my person. It's like you don't know what you got until it's gone. That song. It's like, and this person's stressed out. So I don't think this person's going to be able to hold back much longer, okay? Like, because they're just obsessed and getting stressed and afraid that you're going to meet somebody else and move on and, you know, then you're their person and they know that this was real and they know and they know and they're getting jealous. Once again, this person's like, so what are they doing? There's a part of them that's trying to like figure out. So this person just is strategic. They're very logical. They're very analytical. And the problem is that, the reptilian mind, the survival mind, it's all, about logic. It's really, that's what it is. It's about being able to get what they want, business savvy. That's this person. And so they normally get what they want. But their approach to a relationship being business is not good. And that's, we see what this person does. Instead of wanting to come back vulnerable and really showing because of their pride. So even though I'm saying that they surrendered their ego, it's like they're almost like too weak to come back and like do it the right way. Because if you reject them, whoo, so they'd rather create the illusion and ask for forgiveness that way. So understand what are they doing? I feel like they're focusing a lot on their family and being like, why is life like this? Well, how did I get to this place? Not per se blaming family, but going back to like, when did it all go south? How did I get to where I am. So I feel like other things in this person's life has fallen apart. Well, that's usually the ego has to fall in order for this person to like really fix their life internally. I mean, again, from the inside out. So it all came from how they grew up, and so there's a part of them that does have anxiety because they're having to deal with the trauma and the trauma of always feeling inadequate. And so how they treated you really is like not through being cocky, but because they actually felt inadequate with themselves. So this is how we saw the karmic theme continue to play out. And so what it is lack. This person feels like they don't have enough. And so they also won't that because they don't think that they have enough, they're also going to hold back like emotionally because again the inadequacy, and it goes back again to family. Where did it all start? And so I don't believe that this person is blaming everything on their family, but I feel like they had an incident when it like right out of high school when they went to college. And then, one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. So this person continues to live karmic cycles that where they self-sabotage themselves. And so you represent part of that because you were a blessing. And that's what they're seeing. You were a blessing. That you were a twin flame. You were meant to come into this person's life where they have, an opportunity to step it up to be the best version of themselves. But if a person grew up in an environment where they didn't feel safe, where again they always felt inadequate, and they're always overcompensating or undercompensating because they don't have balance. Balance comes from our own identity, our own unique individuality. So again, what attracted this person to this person about you, but also what hurt you was your unique individuality. Yet, like again, that you are not like everyone else. And so, and what they're seeing is they kind of need your medicine. They see how they could help you. They see how they could, you know, I'm intimidated by you. Well, understand because you hold to your truth, and that's why this person was inconsistent, and all over the place, but they have sexual fantasies about you. So, and understand that's what's going to happen when the twin flame like comes together. It's like there is a lot of passion, and what's the catalyst is the fact that this person has attraction. It's not that they're on your level. It's not that they didn't treat you harshly and badly. It's not that this person knows that they did, but they have to come back and humble themselves. This person doesn't has never looked at anyone else's behavior except for themselves. They never cared. It's the fact that this person, like, once they lost you, that's when they realized. But it's not just that. It's like this connection brings this person back to like, when was the original start of my downfall? Like, when was the last time that this happened? And what they trace back is this continues to keep happening. People lose time and space when when they've been traumatized. They just detach and disassociate. And if they have drugs or addictions or anything like that, it's they get caught up in those things. And it's a way for them to stay detached and disassociated. It's the addiction because it doesn't feel good when we don't like ourselves. It doesn't feel good to like have trauma and not heal from it. There really is a detachment from self. There's fragmented pieces where you just haven't developed yourself. Because if you were in survival mode, you weren't being like child. You weren't imagining what you wanted to be when you grew up. You weren't even encouraged of what to become when you grew up. It was just about survival. It was just about survival. So this person really lives more from that logical, analytical mind, business savvy, very manipulative, um, And it's not that they don't have feelings, they have grand feelings to the point that it overstimulates them. It makes them frozen. It makes them paralyzed. It makes them have anxiety. Like this is because they need to heal. So it's like, I want you, but I'm intimidated by you. You're seeing the paradox of it. And that's part of the healing process. It's like we wouldn't know what we needed healing in. It's the fact that people can make us feel uncomfortable. People make us question ourselves. Situations make us question ourselves, and what we think that we knew, a lot of times we knew it from a perception, but there's many different perceptions, and they're all not correct and they're all not wrong either. A lot is preference, how we choose to see. I feel like I can't give you what you need. So that's the thing. This person feels a lack, but they know that you're a soulmate. And right now, they're still healing because they're not ready, but they want to work things out. And so right now, what you're seeing is that this person checks on you from afar because again, there's a part of this person that normally abandons people to make themselves feel more important. Like I'm not going to let you get that close. The intimacy. So again, why this relationship is so deep, it makes them frozen, it makes them paralyzed. It's again because of those wounds, but they can't move on. They feel empty without you. And so either way, this person knows they're going to find a way back to you. It's just, are they ready now? No. It's again, there's so much that this person wants to tell you, and they do miss you, but because they do think the world of you, again, they know that the story's not over yet. Um, I feel like this person wants to get stronger within themselves. That there's a sense that when the twin flame journey does come together, it's not just because they're going to be in a relationship. They usually create something together, birth something together. Passion is not just passion. Passion in the bedroom is passion for life. And it's understanding that that's why we're here, to continually be the expressions. I'm beginning to focus on our mission, and our connection is part of that. That's what I was saying before, because this person says we have had past life connection memories are surfacing. So again, the past life connection. So that means again that this person has always had that ESP through the heart and mind. They've always had that spiritual connection, but they needed a lot of healing, obviously. And this person also lost you in a past life. And so comes back into this life, has an opportunity to do things differently. What we're seeing here is that they want to do things differently. They're triggered though, and old patterns have surfaced. And that's going to happen right now because they're in a place of healing. That's why they say they're not ready to come back now, but story's not over because they know that they have to heal. And spirit is just saying they keep an eye on you again. They've watched you change and grow so much that they're trying to release attachments to identity so that they can change too. And that's what I'm saying that they're trying to do now, which is pretty much get an identity. It's like to not care what other people think, to be the expression of love by doing what you love, by giving and receiving of love is how we connect to people, and that it doesn't really matter like what you do as long as it's beneficial for everyone involved. And that's really what spirit says. It's like to be the expression of love. That's how you can create. See, spirit says it's time. Like these are the cards that fell out. And we're still holding the deck. We have these many cards left that fell on the ground. So out of all these cards, expand your concept of what a twin flame is. It's more than a romance. It's deep soul activation to heal in order to embody love and light. And that's what I'm saying. That there was trauma from family that's so bad that the person just stuck in a karmic loop and they can't get out. And Spirit says, and you may be stuck in a karmic loop when it comes to another area of your life. So the twin flame is almost like, oh, there's my other half. There's no such thing as a half a person. It's that we have blockages where that person has gifts and vice versa. So when the twin flame come together, they bring the best of themselves. They step into their divine energies. So that's divine feminine, and it doesn't mean you have to be a girl, but a guy can have a lot of divine feminine energies, and a woman can have a lot of divine masculine energies because people are made up of both. They're supposed to have both. And because God is made up of both and there's no separation. So from us and our creator is what I'm trying to get at. And so when we're stepping into our best energies, the divine feminine walks into unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, those nurturing and loving energies where the divine masculine steps into their energies, which is structure, support, protection, those higher elements of consciousness. So you won't get there unless you've cultivated them within yourself first. You attract people that have fragmentation. It doesn't mean that they have the same fragmentation as you. A lot of times they do. It's just the way that they learned how to deal and react to that trauma is different than you. And that's the problem. So without the actual wanting to heal and integration, again, this person's walking home to you. They don't know where they are on the thing, but they're walking home to you. And that's what I'm saying. Their heart is opening to love and coming back to you. It's like we don't even need to pull any more of these cards. Like this person's coming back. They realize who you are. They're coming back. They're convinced. Now that doesn't mean that they're 100% healed. What it means is that they're ready to do the healing. When a divine masculine is coming back to a divine feminine, or a divine feminine coming back to a divine masculine. They're coming back as their true self, their best self, but they can't hold that vibration. Remember, everything is habitual. So I can stop eating late at night or smoking cigarettes or having wine or whatever the hell it is that I do, but if I get stressed out, when life happens and throws us into a lulu because we're dealing with other people on different levels of consciousness, and again, there's karmic consequences that sometimes just happen from being around certain people that you have to. And so again, working around certain people and just living. So it's all about coming back and being strong within ourselves. And if the person is not on that vibration, hey, they're faking it till they make it. But God knows when we're faking it, we're barely making it. That's number one, because spirit listens to authenticity. It doesn't listen to BS. We can pretend to be somebody that we're not. Spirit's like, you're not that. And I'm going to show you that in your paycheck. I'm going to show you that within your life because I want you to change or I want you to do something. And intuitively, you're going to figure it out. It's like you're going to change. Otherwise, we wouldn't change. We want the change within our outer world. That's why we do things that we normally wouldn't do. God knows that. I feel like I'm not good enough for you. So this is the core wound that this person, and remember, whether they think they are or they think they're not, they're right, right? So again, part of them having to cultivate a strong self during this part of separation is really what's going to make them, come back because they're coming back to you either way, but they don't want to get shot down. So they're trying to come back as the best version of themselves. And they're going to try and do that, but it's you that holds the standard. It's you that what you're going to put up with, what you're not going to put up with. It's that you need to be true to yourself. And in that forces that person to be true to you if they really love you. they're going to surrender their ego. You may have to compromise. I mean, relationships are all about compromise to find our balance. And so, you know, finding the balance is really a spiritual walk that we wouldn't know how to do unless we were actually birthing something. The twin flame comes to bring forth something to humanity. To give and receive of love is your free will, to become it, to step into the best energies. So we say, well, what's with this person? We see how you're helping this person. How is this person helping you? Like, what is the healing that you're getting? Because again, twin flame does that. Spirit says, oh, you think that this person's broken in this area? Well, we should look at your bank account, like, or we should look at your, at your structure of like how you do certain things that you're obviously not advancing in life. Everybody has fragmentation, everybody has wounds. We all do. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here because life is about learning the lessons of love. And really, that energy of God is unconditional love. We learn it most through our partners, right? Because sometimes we don't like what our partner does or what they say or how they react or whatever. If in fact they can trigger us. Why won't you take your medicine? Why do you drink that extra beer? Why are you smoking? Why do you argue with me? They trigger us and they're supposed to make us grow. But again, you love that person, so it's like you deal with it. It makes you think. It makes you think about why they see things that way, why you see things that way. It's all about learning, growing, evolving. But really, for us to know what God is, really, that's why we're here. To blame Adam and Eve for eating from that damn tree. So we look at your inner child wounds, nurturance, rage, truth, abuse, innocence. I'm going to pull two more today. Source, time and attention. Well, obviously, the first thing that came to me was abuse. Abuse a lot of times is just handed down. It's ancestral karma. It's the way that our parents dealt with stress. The stress because of what was going on collectively, how well they did financially, how well that they, felt about themselves. And so, we've come from a place where we've mainly lived from more of a dogmatic perspective, perception that religion was something that, you went to for guidance and you did pray to God, but very few people had a relationship with God. And you could tell by the way that they lived. You could tell by the way that they lived and how they treated themselves. And see, if they had a real relationship with God, you would see that they wouldn't treat themselves that way. Because this physical body is just the casing for that divine part of self. So the abuse, psychological and emotional, psychological and emotional, but we see a person that actually is hit here. And that rage is what was passed down. And that's trauma. Again, that energy of rage, of anger, of if you were abused, psychologically and emotionally, well, you were made to feel not good enough, not worthy, shamed, and if there was no time and attention to the point that you had a good connection to source, because detachment, disassociation. Because how did the children deal with abuse? Can't run away. You're relying on that parent to feed you, to guide you, and that person is terrifying you every second of the day. And when they're not giving you time and attention. So in that, the child just detaches and disassociates, and they lose a lot of time in that imagination world. The innocence, even though, you know, it was kind of robbed by the parent, the child still stayed very much childlike because of that detachment and disassociation. So they became more of a truth speaker. And a truth speaker is an empath. It's a highly sensitive child, someone that, is going to, like, has a big mission, you have to say, has to create awareness, and so here it is. You grew up in this abuse, this psychological and emotional abuse, where you had such a strong connection to source, even though you must have felt like you didn't have a strong connection to source because of what was happening in your environment. But the truth of the matter is that you were protected. And so that innocence is almost still like was almost restored because of it. Because when a child detaches and disassociates, it's almost like they get stuck in that age, that where they weren't nurtured, where they weren't, and yes, it's even a level of consciousness that it could be. And so Spirit says, because you weren't nurtured, and children need to be nurtured. They need to be loved. They need to feel supported, not abused, not psychologically, not emotionally, and definitely not physically. But we see it was all of the above, because not giving a child time and attention is like saying is ignoring that child. And if you're ignoring that child, then that child believes that they're not worthy, that they're not good enough, that they're not loved, especially because that child goes and perceives how other people's parents are treating them, and they see how they're being treated. So a lot winds up becoming not talked about, but again, that trauma is something that's stored within the subconscious mind. Then we're being connecting to people that treat us within that manner. Like, you're not worthy of my time. Feel like there's something wrong with you. I don't like your point of view. I don't like the way you tie your slippers. I don't know. It's anything. It's anything. People can have like a perception about you because of anything. But if you're too nice, too giving, too whatever, it's again people's perceptions. So, and that could be abusive. So understand, Spirit says that you had similar traumas, and so you have to transmute that energy. And we know one way to that with transmutation is through creation, which this person is going to come back in divine time and help you with that. It's like they're realizing that. However, I feel like you need to do healing on your own right now because that's what this person's doing. See, with soulmate twin flame relationships is divine time. We never know when that person's going to come back because it's when God feels that both parties are ready. So healing always needs to be done. So Spirit says, just listen to the whispers of your soul guiding you. Align your actions with your values because you're doing already what you're supposed to be doing. It's not like you're not already on your, making things happen. You may not be seeing the financial gain to it as much, but you're seeing like other things, other opportunities. Things are coming together. You're in the process of making them happen. You're on the right track. Spirit says, just make sure you're ethical. Again, always make sure that you align your actions with your values. So then this way, anything that comes to you that isn't, you're going to recognize it. That's how we have discernment. But if you're shady, then you're going to attract the energies that you're not going to want to attract. Spirit says it's all about you now releasing the limited beliefs that no longer serve you, to free yourself. So obviously growing up with abuse and not getting time and attention and feeling that you're not worthy, feeling that you're not good enough, again, that was the trigger that this person kind of made you feel about yourself, which no one should be able to make you feel any which way about yourself. Spirit says that's because those core beliefs were always there. and it was time for you to actually um, transform them. And Spirit says, and it's all about you now having faith, taking that leap of faith in any directions because risks are going to be rewarding. And the situation helped you flow with grace because it's not about changing your environment, it's about changing who you are and your approach. And understand, Spirit says everything's happening in divine time. Spirit has a plan that unfolds when it's meant to happen. So don't worry. Is again, be patient. And that might be really difficult. And in the meantime, it's all about, seeing beyond the illusion to discern what's real and what's not. And again, you're the alchemist of your life. That it's all about helping you transmute those traumas. And how do we do that? Through passion. How do we change our mind and our heart? Well, God brings us the people, the situations, and the experiences that help us do that while we're on our path. And that includes people. I mean, not people, obviously, I said people, but, our person, right? And Spirit just says, be patient, things are happening. Even when you don't think that they're happening, things are happening in the quiet moments when we're supposed to be patient. And we end off with one more. Just remember, you are the light. You are the light. Always have hope, no matter the ordeal. Have faith in a better future. Turn darkness into light. You open your heart to others and to God and be spiritually strong within yourself. Draw light to you and shine with all your being. And the Spirit says there is no separation from you and your Creator, and your twin flame helps you to see that, by coming together and bringing the best versions of yourselves and learning balance and really learning what unconditional love is, because twin flame journey is not an easy journey. It's a really hard journey because that person comes into your life and is your mirror. It's holding a mirror, and there's sometimes we don't really like what we see in that mirror, but Spirit says, well, I don't really like that that's there either because that's not the way that I made you. You were born into families, societies, and situations, and again, around certain people that made you feel certain way about you. And when you live in that type of environment, you just are going to form habits and behaviorisms to preserve yourself. And even though they helped you at one time, they're going to obstruct you from being able to manifest. But you're the alchemist of your life. You can change your life, you can heal your life, but you have to show up for your life. I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated, Virgo, and I'll see you at 4:30 if you're on the coaching. 4:30 today. Be there or be square. And if you haven't signed up, all you got to do is go to subscriptions and click on the link, and it will take you to like what you need to do. All right, it's just $7.99 a month. So again, you still have time to catch today's. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.